Okay. So I don't forget to record last time. I just blew up my mind. Uh, just forgot it. So now we are recording third session, and we have 13 people online. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's start. Uh, we still have some people missing. So good morning. Welcome back. Um, I hope you have a wonderful week with all the and activities that we planned for last week, and this thing continues. So we will have new activities for this week. So we will be going into week three, which is module three, and you will find all the different activities in the platform notes. So I'll give 1 minute more. Okay, so let's start. Welcome back again. This week, just going to do some basic house cleaning. So how we are at this point. So I'm going to open this presentation on module three, which I have here. So this is our status of the as today. So I have reorganized the discussion forums that you find in the wiki because they move as people participate, so the order is shifting. So I have created a wiki page where I have listed all the different forums, so you can find the forums easily by module, and then you can participate and you can go back and review what your other peers are writing. So the interaction is relevant and important. Remember that learning is a social activity, so we never learn by ourselves. We learn in a community. Okay, about the participants progress page, remember where we were going to give the URL address of our wiki page where we are gathering all our learning notes and experiences so everyone can also see what you are learning. And we're still missing a couple of people there. For example, two of the participants have accepted but have not already updated the page. Five participants are still in they the invitation have been sent, but they haven't accepted it yet. So until they accepted it, then they can start editing all the pages for the participants wiki, right? And if you have any questions, please send me an email and we can see what is still worrying you or why you still haven't updated. If you just forgot about it, well, remember that we are updating this page, and then also we are updating the progress. So I see people who are already going into the next module, and people are working in the current module. And I see, for example, that at least, well, yesterday or last night, 50% of the participants had more than 4 activities. Activities means the different interactions in the different forums or discussion forums, at least once. And then half of the cohort has not engaged more than 50% of the activities. And the activities range since the where you gave your URL address of your GitHub wiki and also your GitHub account information and the concept map and all the different forums where you are participating. So please catch up because the activities continue. Okay. And today, Dr. Nathan Pritz joins us. He's the principal AI strategist from the U of A Global Campus. So he will be collaborating in our program. So welcome, Dr. Pritz. Okay. So let's jump about what we were seeing this week. Okay. So we were talking about generative AI and their capabilities, limitations, and prompting, and you had all the different activities uh, in the wiki notes. In general, we learn about uh, the chain of thought prompting and also hallucinations and how relevant these hallucinations are. So, as you have already experienced, you cannot trust the AI model output. So we have to review all the outputs and different types of hallucinations appear. So there's a way of we can improve the accuracy of the different models, and even then, the accuracy is not complete. So we learn about the intrinsic and extrinsic hallucinations, and basically everyone has written in the different forums about how important, how relevant these types of hallucinations are or dangerous are in their daily tasks. And also we learn about faithfulness and factuality about the information coming out from the models. Okay, and we had 2 papers to read this week. I hope you found them interesting. So if anyone wants to make any comments or just post any questions that you still have about module 2, please open your mic or post it in the chat for that matter. Anyone? Anyone has any concerns? No? Okay. So let's be more specific. So what did you found out about the chain of thought? Did you found that that's a way to improve your uh, out outputs from your model? In what cases does the chain of thought works and where it does not? Or you found that they still have to give some additional information? Anyone?
I'll speak. Carlos, this is
Okay.
Lori. I used it for a task that I have to do in my job, which is help programs write or create
Mhm.
rubrics to analyze program learning outcomes. And typically, I find that the rubrics that they create was very similar to the first rubric when I put my first prompt in. Create a rubric, here's the learning outcome. And it takes all the dimensions of that learning outcome and it sort of sticks it into one criteria and then asks the evaluator to rate it. And really what that gives you is an average across all those different dimensions of the learning outcome. And I'm always working with programs that they have to work, disaggregate that learning outcome into all the component parts. And by my fourth prompt, I got a fantastic rubric. So I was thinking, oh, how could I take that prompt that I did and write it up, because we can't like create gems yet. I did it in Gemini, but could I provide the programs when they have those questions? Here is how you would prompt Gemini to give you a rubric that we would find acceptable when we were doing your annual reports.
Mhm. There's one best practice about building our own prompt library. So any process when we're interacting with these types of systems, we are iterating our prompt, and then suddenly we agree on most of the output of the model. So the good practice is to write that or copy that prompt and store it in some document so you can later share your prompts with your peers or your collaborators, so they don't have to be going through the different processes again and again. And also, as you know, in general, we can say that most models behave similarly because they have a similar training process. But also, we have to remember that these type of models are probabilistic in nature. So if we input the same prompt twice, we will get a little bit different answer. So it's not an answer is not reproducible like in science. In science, we work with things that need to be reproducible, so they can be accepted by the large or the wide community. Okay. Any other comments or experiences, good or bad? No?
I had one, Carlos, which was just that I understand these are the established models and, from the single shot all the way up to chain of thought. But what I've done, I guess, before this class is I call it like the smart intern model, where basically I'll put my prompt in there and it's not super detailed, but then I just say, ask me any questions you have to clarify. And how does that approach sort of fit into this framework?
Okay. All right. Yes. Any more comments, experiences, frustrations? We can accept any type of emotions or okay.
Oh, I mean, I agree with Brett. I actually have tried the same thing is I'll ask the AI if it, once I give it a prompt, if it needs more clarifications or more instructions, or if it thinks it can do it accurately. I've just tried things like that as well. And I don't know, like I don't know that I've specifically, if I can point to any specific examples of what it might have asked me
Mhm.
um, to improve the output, but it's something that I have been doing.
Okay. And I read several of comments about the way you like or trust more one model versus another one, and also at some point, if you already have experience managing three or four models, then you start getting some preferences. So, can you give like a best practice, what model to use for what and when? Or do you have any strategy like combining different models to create a single uh, output, merging the different outputs from different models? What are your experiences, Randy?
Oh, let's see. Um, so I like to try a panel of experts. So I will ask the same question to more than one model. And so I either do that with the individual models, or you can do that with the U of A Gen AI platform.
Mhm.
And if I have a question that involves ethics, I tend to go to Claude first.
Okay.
I just want to loop back to Brett's question for a second. Like when you do other things that aren't just zero shot, few shot, like where you add details to your prompt or you request follow-up questions, like do those things have names? Are they accepted practices?
But we have frameworks, we have tasks that we can do with the different models, and also there is no single agreement on how to name things so far.
Oh yeah, I just was curious because like the zero shot has a name and
Yes,
chain of thought prompting has a name. So
yes.
I was wondering if like the strategy Brett was describing where he invites the AI to ask questions has a name.
It's an interactive prompt. So
Okay.
you give a prompt and then tell the system to ask you more questions about what you really want. So yeah,
Okay.
that's like an interactive prompt or chain of prompts probably.
Okay, thank you. Interactive prompt.
Yeah, and then there like negative prompting where you tell the modem not to talk about specific topics or something that you don't want to go there, but you want to go to the complement of that topic. So that's negative prompting. There are several techniques and also different frameworks. There's a large number of different acronyms for different frameworks like context, the object, or the output format, or the role, or the format of the output, or the language, etc. So there are different ways of playing, but that will create you a good prompt library. Yes, Randy.
Um, could you offer suggestions on where to put the prompt library? So I kind of have built my own, but I kind of lose track of where they are. So I was just wondering if
Okay.
you have any strategies.
Well, I have my own Google Doc library depending on the different formats, but also when I want to share my prompt library, then either I somewhere I put the link that everyone can read up for my prompt library, or for example, I've been interacting with different groups here at the U of A, and every group has their own tasks and interests. So what I recommend is to build a library that everyone in the office or in the college or department knows about, and um, and then it's very easy to um, to talk with people who are just starting, saying, well, you can use this prompt. It's already has been proving these outputs. And for example, for specific repetitive tasks in one office or college, then we can use this prompt to generate this or that, or to extract all the different information that is relevant to that specific task we are doing. So it's like an agreement how to interact. And then, of course, for every prompt you already have polished or iterated, then you have to annotate what model you were using and what version of the model you were using, and any additional information that you consider relevant. Of course, every prompt has to be approved by someone or has been tested by someone else. So all that extra additional information about a specific prompt, it helps you create a prompt library. And then you can say for this type of tasks, we are using Gemini, or for this specific task, we are using um, Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, or even Claude. And remember that in the documentation about the responsible AI from the universities, um, they mention what type of information you can input the models, specifically if it has to do with sensitive information like personal information or health records, or Even I got a note today about human resources information. So you cannot put any sensitive information. In those cases, it's preferable, for example, for people who work with FERPA or HIPAA compliant data, they need to know specifically what platform has been authorized to be used for those purposes. And we have different private networks, like for example, Cyber's Health is it's a network where people can work specifically with HIPAA compliant information. And about critical confidential administration information, then of course we need to have a secure and private network to handle all the different uses of AI, so the data is not leaked out. Okay, so that's one of the applications. For example, is running a local large language model. That local large language model doesn't go out or anything, so all the information stays in that environment. So there are different ways, and depending on what type of application you're thinking about, then we can probably talk or have a conversation and help you guide to your goals. Okay, any more questions?
I have a comment.
Okay,
I think I'm just thinking about what I've learned so far and how I'm
there's
going to
an echo,
apply.
Priscilla. There's an echo. So just you can speak to the microphone. Just put the speaker off. Try again. Not yet. Speak to your microphone. Okay, try again. Oh, try again. Try again the way you were doing it before. Speak. You you don't have the microphone on. Okay, you were muted. That's why. Okay. Okay. So Priscilla will type her participation here. Uh, okay. Anyone else while we wait?
Yeah, I mean, you were asking about it, experience using different models. And one of my projects that I worked on was taking some surveys and using the like text feedback that was on the survey, and then analyzing that text. And there were a couple thousand rows of responses, I suppose, something like that. And I I had been using Copilot a lot because I deal a lot with Microsoft products in what I do, and so I thought that I would try Copilot for this survey,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't seem to. Well, that was when I was using the free version of Copilot. I didn't know there was like an institutional, like the M365, and so the free version was just having lots of trouble handling that much data. And so I had to break it down into like 5 rows at a time or something like that. And so it was just way too long of a process to get what I wanted. And I hadn't used Claude before. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided to try it out. And it was interesting because I think I remember like when I was putting in my prompt for Claude, it was saying, well, I might have trouble doing this all in one batch, because it might require too many tokens, and you might have to break it down. And so I usually, when I do something like that, I usually like to I give it like 5 rows, and then it gives me back the output from my
Hmm.
prompt. And and then I kind of check it over and make sure it looks right. And then I'll maybe do another 5 rows and compare that. And then after I go through some, then I'll kind of like figure out the prompt that I need. And then
Hmm.
for Claude, what it did was once I finally got the prompt that I wanted, it actually processed through the whole thing. And it was really quick. Like I don't remember which. I think I used like the third level of Claude to do that. I think I tried it first with maybe the lesser level, and it couldn't handle it all, and it actually gave up on it. But the third level processed through it all, and it was really quick. I
Okay.
didn't have to wait, long at all for it to have those responses. So that's I kind of, when I use AI, I kind of tailor which one I pick based on what I have to do. So whenever I'm going to do something that's a lot of data, I'll use Claude. But if I'm
Hmm.
just, looking up something, especially Microsoft related questions, then I'll use Copilot. But I like Gemini a lot too. It seems really good at conversations, and um, so I use Gemini for a lot of just regular work that's not,
Yeah.
super specific about Microsoft or about lots of data.
Yeah. We have to take into account that some of the models are not connected to the internet. So for example, when you're doing a search in Google, it has Gemini connected. So it will respond and create an output that's generated by Gemini. And also, you can ask that to verify that all the links and citations are factual. So it has to check. And some models do not have access to the internet, so they don't know. They only have information up to the day they were trained. So we have to take into account that. And also for every company, Anthropic or Google or OpenAI, they have different models, different versions, different sizes. So we may know about maybe 10 or 20 models, but actually there are like around 2 million different models of large language models. I will look for this information in Hugging Face. Hugging Face is the platform where people share the different models that have been trained for and with using different parameter sizes, etc. So yes, so there's more than a few options for the same task, and we can do some comparison. Okay, Priscilla, where are we? Okay. Um, okay. Okay. So I mean, you will see a lot of well, humor in the internet that people have used, for example, Cloud Code to generate a code that used to take 3 hours to generate it in 3 minutes, but then you spend 12 hours trying to verify the code. So sometimes you have to balance that. And another thing is that well, people think about these large language models as snake oil, but we have to combine with additional tools. For example, if we have large amounts of data, text out there that we need to analyze, we may have to combine with natural language processing tasks in order to extract information from these large language models. So it's not just a free form ask and get the results we expected. Especially if the information that we are asking the models to extract depends on what is the environment the large language model is. For example, if I'm going to analyze some specific document and I'm using Gemini, which is open to the internet, uh, I will get different results if I'm just uploading the document to Notebook LM, for example. I will have different answers because Notebook LM will only focus on the documents that are sitting there, right? And also, there's another field which is information extraction from large language models. So you interact with the large language model in specific with specific scripts using natural language processing in order to extract the information that the models are seeing or extract the informations about the informations the large language models were trained on. Okay, so I mean it's an ongoing conversation, a never-ending conversation. But so I hope that interacting in the discussion forums, people get the idea of how everyone is not struggling, but how they are interacting with the large language models. And I hope everyone learns from everyone about these experiences. Okay, so let me stop there. And next, I'm going to give um, the microphone to Nate so he can present the what we are going to be expecting in the next module, module 3. Okay, Nate?
Yeah. Thanks, Carlos. I really appreciate a little time here with you guys today. Being a fly on the wall, listening to the conversations you guys are having is really energizing. This cohort, the champions cohort, it's like the secret weapon of the university because you guys are all doing awesome stuff, but then you're going to be able to do bigger and awesomer stuff when you bring these ideas back to your teams and your units, when you socialize this with other people. I just think this is a cool program, and I'm really I just, celebrate you guys. You're all doing fantastic work, and I'm excited to be able to be here to listen into a little bit about what's going on with you all. You're getting ready to jump into this third unit. Carlos has put a lot of time, a lot of attention to how this is all shaped. So, and you can see it all on the pages that he's put together. I'm not going to necessarily walk through that too much, but I do want to spend a little bit of time thinking about how we identify these AI opportunities in our own work. Kind of, something that a few of you were commenting about. You're already doing projects with AI within your own discipline, within your own field, and you're having various levels of success. I think for some people, just finding out where to plug AI in is the first challenge. And that's what this week 3, the module materials that Carlos has prepared, kind of walk through some decision-making processes about how you're going to actually make those assessments, decide where to put your time and where to put your energy. I think one of the things that's really crucial for our AI strategy as an institution overall is that we always start with our own work. We don't just dust off a tool and play around just for its own sake. We don't start plugging AI into every workflow just because we can. We want to think about our values. We want to make sure that things are mission aligned within our own departments and units and across the university overall. That's a little bit about what I do. My role at the University of Arizona Global Campus is new. In fact, it doesn't start till tomorrow morning. Today is my last day as program chair for first year writing, which I've been for about 6 years with University of Arizona Global Campus. Stepping into the new principal strategist for AI role, one of the things that I'm going to be working to do is find ways to create operational improvements using AI, but also make sure that we're kind of keeping our eye on the ball in terms of what this means for teaching and learning, what this means in individual classrooms, and what our students are saying about some of this. Because again, we're doing a lot of work as an institution. Hopefully you subscribe to some of the newsletters that come out of the ORI office. You're seeing some of the amazing things we're doing as an institution, but we want to make sure that we're checking in with our students and being responsive to their own perspectives, their ideas, their hopes, what they need, not just when they're in the classroom, but when they're walking around campus. One of the things I want us to think about is beyond, I guess what I mean is it's really easy to think about AI in terms of return on investment. You're thinking about the financial return for the things that you're doing. But I feel like as an institution, maybe even as a field, AI is not quite at a point yet in higher ed where we can really point to dollars and cents with a lot of confidence just yet. We were already talking today, and Carlos was referring to, the sort of popular joke that AI can give you an answer like that, but then you have to spend all this extra time verifying and double checking and refining that workflow. Some of us are at a point where we're saving time, but I think overall we're not necessarily able to start pointing directly to dollars and cents yet, which is why I want to think about a concept called return on employee. That's the value that shows up when people do higher quality work, when there is less drudgery in their day to day, they have an improved experience overall. The return on employee comes in the form of better performance from people. It's qualitative, it's adoption and benefit layer rather than a dollar figure. So I think that's really important to keep in mind. There's a lot of material in the modules, not just for week 3, but overall in this campus champions cohort. Material that helps you to think about your workflow and to identify opportunities. Uh, and I imagine you guys are all here because you've bought into AI. You are adopters, you're champions, for sure. We don't have to convince you to do this. But if you're able to keep that return on employee frame in mind, kind of like a North Star, I think it will help you ensure that you're not just automating for the sake of it. You're not just creating more work for yourself. The idea is that you put yourself in a position to do things you could never do before once you're able to shift some tasks out of the way. Because I think it's really easy to think of AI in terms of a sort of tactical productivity boost. Can it help me draft this email? Can it summarize this document? Can it clean up the formatting in this paragraph? Uh, a lot of people are doing that. Those are really important ways to help sort of scaffold AI use. But I think this cohort is about dreaming bigger. And that starts with understanding the work better. So you've got great mechanisms in place in this third module to really methodically walk through and figure out what your workflow looks like and how best to consider folding AI into that. Because I think one thing I want to point out is that the form of the AI solution is always going to come after the work. And the reality is that not everything needs to be AI infused. Some things need to stay human. Some things need to be an agent. Sometimes we can use chain of thought processing or prompting with an LLM. Sometimes it's just that back and forth. But sometimes what we want is a chatbot or a custom GPT. And I think that's one thing to keep in the back of your mind as you're developing this workflow map that Module 3 helps you think through. Map the work and then start to think about where AI is going to fit into that. I want to give you just a quick example from something that I tried out recently. On the global campus side, although it's open to everybody, we run a series called Conversations and Connections. We bring in people from the outside to talk about how AI is changing the future of work, so that we can maybe hit that target a little better for our students and for our own workforce. We've got 6 hour-long webinars that have happened over the course of the last several months, and that's great. We had a good turnout. It was a lot of fun. We had some really great conversations. But now we've just got this archive sitting there, and I wanted to try to figure out a way to maybe give it a little bit of legs, maybe keep it evergreen, keep it alive. So in order to make the archive more interactive, I built a GPT. I called it Conversations and Concordance. The background for the GPT is the transcripts for all of the videos with timestamps. And so you can go into this GPT and you can say, okay, I'm a teacher. I teach math. Did they talk about anything over these sessions that is relevant to teaching and learning in the mathematics classroom with first year students? And the GPT will spit back direct quotes from the various sessions with a timestamp. So you can just go right to the video and watch that particular clip. You don't have to watch 6 hours to find the material that you really wanted. So I thought that was awesome, right? I was like, okay, I figured out a way to use a GPT that's going to help make the archive seem a little bit more alive. That's great. But I wanted to try to find ways to share this more broadly. Maybe a teacher wants to use it in the classroom. Maybe I want to post it on social to try to get a little bit more recognition for the university, recognition for some of the work that we're doing. And you can do that, right? You can go through each individual hour-long session. You can take notes. You can figure out where you want to cut it. You can make short 2 to 3 minute clips. You can burn the transcripts on, and you could post it. But I figured there'd be an easier way to do that because we'd have to start from scratch for each individual video. So I created an agent using Claude Code locally on my machine where the workflow just grabs the video from my desktop, transcribes the recording, reads the transcript, identifies self-contained high-value moments, cuts the clips, burns those captions, and drafts some social copy that I could use or not for YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, and drops the whole thing back on my desktop. In fact, the agent is trained to do all of that 10 times as a verification loop to make sure things are right. And then, of course, I look at everything to make sure that the transcripts were burned appropriately and things like that. I thought through that workflow. I mapped it. What needs to be done here? I wanted to move through the repetitive and technical parts of that so that I could spend more time on the parts where my judgment matters the most. And that's in the conversations with the guests so that I'm not sitting here spending hours and hours going through all these different clips trying to cut them down. And I think that's the second frame I just want to talk a little bit about and have you keep in mind. I talked earlier about return on employee, the idea that we're trying to open up our work to new flows we could never get at before. But this second frame is thinking intentionally about where you want to engage with AI in your work, where you should engage, not just where you can, because we know AI can do pretty much everything at this point. But think about your own passions and your own drives and the things about your day-to-day work that you love doing that you would never trade. And think about those aspects of your job that rely on your human capacities for judgment, for creativity, for love, those things that are primarily relational. And hold on to those as you're trying to map workflows. Don't give up the stuff that you love, the things that motivate you to do your job, to show up every day. I was program chair for first year writing. I still am for a few more hours. And I would wake up every day, no joke, 24 emails from faculty, from students, problems in the classroom, situations they wanted to talk through, things that were going on. A lot of those emails were not particularly complex, but they were from people to me seeking reassurance, needing connection. I could have set up a bot to handle part of that. I could have triaged my email, but that's not what I wanted to do. To me, that was my job. AI could support it, but I needed that to remain mine. It's my North Star. It's how I lead. It's what the people I support need and deserve. I think if you keep those two frames in mind, the idea that we're trying to use AI to get through some of the drudgery in your work so that you can get to stuff that you could never get to before, couldn't even imagine doing before, but also holding close those parts of your job, those tasks, those opportunities on the day to day that are meaningful to you, that make up the reason why you do this job to begin with, the stuff you never want to let go of, whether it's relational or just stuff that you like to do. Keep those things in mind as you start to look at the Module 3 material and start to map out what you're going to try to apply this to. And then I think you're going to find that this really helps with this sort of secondary piece that we're not really talking about much yet, but it's that storytelling moment. That moment when you go back to your department, you go back to your unit leader and you say, hey, I did this thing. And I think we should all be doing this thing. I think we're going to save a ton of time. We're going to save a lot of effort. We're going to make a difference in students' lives. We're going to help move things forward. If you can talk about it through these frames, the technical side is important. The verification side, watching out for bias, all those things are really important. But I think what's going to move the needle, what's going to really capture people's attention and interest is when you continue to come at it from that human perspective of, look, here's a possibility. And you can share that out. And I think we're going to be able to supercharge the university just through what Carlos is helping instill over the course of these weeks, what you guys are building, and what we'll be able to share after all this is wrapping up. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. I'm happy to have more conversations like this. Happy to stay connected. I'll be able to pop in a couple more times during the Campus Champion sessions, but I'm just really, again, grateful to you guys putting yourselves out there during the summer when it's hot, when you'd probably rather be in the pool with your kids. Glad that we're all getting to mess around with this stuff together. So yeah, so thanks, Carlos, for letting me have a few minutes here.
Okay. Thank you, Nate, for your words. Very encouraging and exciting. So it's hard to motivate people and about these topics, but I guess they already are motivated. So thanks. So let me go back and share the screen um, and go to the notes. Okay, so we are now in module 3, and you will find all the different activities. Remember that, let me take this out of my way. Remember that we already have this new section about the active discussion forums, and there you will find the different forums organized by module, and you know where you have to participate, and you can always come back. And it's easier to read this type of distribution compared to how GitHub organizes the different modules. Okay, so now for this week, we are expecting to have different types of participations in these forums. And and let me go back to the notes. Again, you will find 2 readings for this week. And these readings are here, and also I have generated a notebook infographic summary of the reading. So we have one reading about experimental evidence on the productivity effects of generative AI by Noy and Zhang from 2023. And you will find what the different topics are doing, specifically how they have run an experiment for using different groups of professionals in order to study the efficiency. So you will find how much the productivity has increased depending on the different tasks they have performed. So that's an interesting reading. Again, this paper is in Science, but it's closed to use with the U of A. Well, I tried and I couldn't find the U of A there. So there's an open free version that has 15 pages, but it's equivalent. So and you will learn about the experiment that was run using 453 college educated workers and what are the results they found. And you will see, you will have some guiding notes as you read. So what to take, what to focus on, and also there will be a couple of questions to guide your reading. Okay. And also, once you have finished the reading, you will try to write with your own words the different definition of these terms, the randomized controlled trials, or what is a treatment effect, the skill compression, task completion time, and output quality assessment. And then there's a second paper by Delacqua. It's Navigating the Jagged Technological Frontier. This paper is 2023 also, and you are asked to read the abstract, the introduction, the experimental design, some results, and discussion. Just browse, and if you are using Notebook LM, feel free to ask Notebook LM about the paper, but you still have to verify the results are true. And then, so it's the Jagged Frontiers mental model that helps you decide when to use or not to use AI. Okay, and these are the results. Also, you will have some guidelines as you read, and questions you have to annotate as you read. And then again, you will try to write with your own words the different terms. What's the jagged technological frontier, the centaur collaboration or cyber collaboration, over reliance inside frontier tasks and outside frontier tasks. And then you will find again 4 tasks. The first one is the professional task workflow. So as we go on now, we will try to apply AI to what we are uh, doing with our daily tasks at the university. So we're trying to identify something that we can apply AI to in order to get some results out. And you'll have a audit matrix for your workflow. And then you will have some guidance, again, some common misconceptions to avoid, and best practices. The same thing you'll find with task 2, an AI-assisted task completion with full documentation. And again, you'll do the task 3 and task 4, okay? And then in the peer participation, I will ask you to participate in the forums. So the forums are already set up, and I hope everything is there. If I'm missing something, please let me know and I'll try to fix it. So I will leave it there and just wait for you to enjoy your tasks for this week. Okay. Uh, any questions or concerns? We're almost half midway this program, so then we will start trying to design our capstone project that we have to show at the end of the program. So be thinking about what will be a good capstone project for you to develop in the next couple of weeks, and then please annotate your progress in the page. And I'm still missing a couple of people, but please annotate your progress and also your concerns. Okay. Many questions? Let's see the chat. Okay. No questions? Well, okay. Come back home.
Carlos, just real quickly.
Yeah.
In terms of reporting to you, so you can keep track of what everybody's doing, I did something weird. I'm just going to report to the group. I actually linked the emojis in the, I think it's the participations page on the GitHub.
Okay.
So you can see each module and sort of the artifact for each module. I don't know if that's something you want to more broadly do, but I thought I'd try it and see what you thought.
Okay. Let me go.
Trying to make your workflow a little bit easier.
Okay.
So yeah, to the progress page there.
So you allow us to see your
Yeah, the GitHub's public anyways. But then
yes.
if you go
Oh,
to the
the
table,
progress.
so each
Yeah.
module 1, you had an emoji. I don't see it on the
Okay.
screen, but I think it's just
Yeah.
you.
Wait. Here.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
see,
it
yeah, exactly.
has a link. Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone has been doing it differently, but as long as it works
right.
for
Yeah.
you, it's good. And also,
Okay, that's your
some
strategy.
some people need a little bit of orientation, and
Yeah.
I mean, it happens to me. Sometimes I need an example of somebody else's work, and then okay, so that's what it meant. Then I can start building. Remember, the learning experiences for ourselves. So yeah, so it's a good. I've been trying to uh, share a template, which is just the basic wiki page,
Right.
with just strip it out of a lot of information so people can edit it and have a single uh, page for the activities for that module. But yeah, it's
Yep.
something like what you're doing right now. Yes. Yeah. Congrats, Katie.
Oh,
Thanks
no,
for
there's no
sharing.
regrets here. Again, this is sort of to help you sort of manage all of this information, right?
Okay, yeah, I
Um,
know everyone is struggling to organize their information. Yeah, you can
right.
see everyone else's examples, and thanks for sharing. But everyone, the idea, let me talk 3 minutes about why this page exists and why I have done it this way. I used to teach a computational physics course back at the University of Sonora for more than 10 years. And teaching about physics and scientific computing and trying to motivate students, I start incorporating gaming strategies. So this is a game board, and you can see who is who is ahead and who is behind. So this is like a competition. So people like to have like good reputation just going forward. And I don't know, but this should motivate you. Oh, this guy is winning, so I should also try to go ahead. And so I hope that this helps everyone to be motivated to be participating in this gaming board. And adding a check mark is not easy. It's not easy. You have to do the work, right? And then this work, I cannot just add a check mark here. This work has to have some link back to your products. Remember, you're putting your products on the internet, and some people may use your information to learn new things because they're not taking the course, but they can learn about how you have been processing the information, the lectures, and also answering the different um, tasks. So this is the purpose of this page, and I hope you don't mind that I have put it there. Okay, so that's the purpose. Okay, any more questions, comments? If not, what Adam? Okay, so Adam, okay, so if anyone has something to comment with me, then I can work with them. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's this this is a community of practice. We are learning about AI, responsible AI, and also we have been selected to lead a cohort that now we can train the trainers, right? So you will be a trainer and you can replicate this. Um, and also, AI is multidisciplinary. So it's not some topic that is specific for people on computer science or any uh, com technical field. It also affects society, so we need to know how is AI affecting society because everyone belongs to a society independently of what is your field of knowledge. So we are a community, and it's a multidisciplinary community, and everyone puts their own background in order to have a common language. And if you need help in any of the topics, please go forward and ask, and we can try to make things less intimidating. Okay, so no worries. Everyone is learning, and we are allowed to make mistakes because we are learning and we are willing to learn. So mistakes are unavoidable. Okay, so I'll see you in line. I'll read your emails. I'll see your postings in the forums. And if you have any specific questions, just ask me directly, and I'll see you this week online. Thank you for connecting, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Have a nice week.
Thanks, Carlos.
Okay.